This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Everyone needs to unload to someone who's unbiased and who isn't judging. Visit betterhelp.com/super and unload the stress. Hey brother! Okay guys, so in the past few months, Marvel has released several series introducing a host of new characters while retiring some of their old ones. The most recent item on this list is the trailer for the upcoming holiday-themed Hawkeye series, which will debut on Disney+. And upon watching it, something just clicked into place in my brain. As ever in the MCU, most things do a really good job of standing on their own as their own complete story, whilst also feeling like they're part of the larger universe. And us out here in the viewing audience have become hyper aware of this, so after every new release, we're all like, oh my gosh, how is this gonna fit into the bigger picture? Like we get Captain Marvel, for example, which introduces the Skrulls, and now we have to wonder, is anyone ever themselves, or could they be a Skrull? Which, like, now one movie later came out to be true. Nick Fury, at least some of the time, was a Skrull. The point is, it's hard not to take all of the most recent information we've been given and start applying it to every corner of the MCU. Like, again, Nick Fury says he can't eat diagonally cut toast, but here he is, what's he doing in Age of Ultron? I know people are pretty divided on this, but it looks diagonal to me. I don't know. Now, of course, this doesn't always work out, but make no mistake, the larger plot line is happening, and all of the clues will only become obvious to us in the end after everything comes out. And while I certainly don't think we know all of them, I think we have definitely narrowed in on one in particular, and that is this character, Val, aka Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, or as I like to call her, Vad. She is first introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where you're just sort of like, who was that? But as of this Hawkeye trailer, I feel pretty confident we know what her ultimate plan is. I think she is the evil version of Nick Fury, and therefore is going to be assembling the evil version of the Avengers. And as of the Hawkeye trailer, I think we can even reveal who all 6 members will be. Guys, before we dive on in, we need to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, MeUndies. Are you afraid of the glow in the dark? Well, then shield your eyes, because the latest MeUndies Halloween has just dropped. Dead. One of my favorite things about MeUndies is that no matter the season, MeUndies has you covered, and then during the in-between times, they have awesome prints from all of our favorite fandoms. Whether you're out running a killer or being abducted by aliens this Halloween, be comforted by the fact that your undies are sustainable and the softest in town. MeUndies are made from natural fibers sourced from beechwood trees, making their micro-modal fabric soft, breathable, and dangerously cozy. Available in undies, bralettes, socks, and loungewear in sizes extra small through 4XL. There are a lot of options to consider, but make a decision quickly because there's somebody right behind you. Just kidding, there's not. Unless there is. I don't know, maybe I just saved your life. You're welcome. And MeUndies has a great offer for our viewers. If you are a first-time purchaser, you get 15% off and free shipping. And MeUndies has a promise that if you're not 100% satisfied with your order, you can return anything for a full refund for the first 45 days. If you want to get 15% off your first order plus free shipping and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, head over to MeUndies.com/theories. Again, that is MeUndies.com/theories. Link is in the description down below. All right, so phase 4 is officially well underway in the MCU, and it seems like Marvel's first order of business is disassembling the old guard, if you will. And I mean, obviously this universe is full of heroes, and many of them are going to be around for years to come, and I cannot wait to see how that unfolds. But the core 6, Tony, Steve, Thor, Clint, Nat, and Bruce, have at this point mostly been retired or killed off to some extent. First on the chopping block was Nat, who oh so valiantly sacrificed herself in Endgame to save half the universe, which I have to say, very epic way to go out. Well done. Bravo! Then later on in Endgame, Tony makes a very similar sacrifice, activating the Infinity Gauntlet to reverse Thanos' initial snap. Iron Man. It still gives me chills, but sadly, the end result of him doing this is that he dies. Then, not even 5 minutes later after that, Steve retires as well. And I say 5 minutes, it's like 5 minutes for us, it's like an entire lifetime of happiness for him. You wanna share any of those deets with us there, Steve?
No, I don't think I will.
Fine, but we know a few anyway. After he returns the Stones and Mjolnir back to their proper places in time, he remains in the past to grow old with and finally have his dance with Peggy. So that's 3 out of the original 6 down right there just in Endgame. But what about the other 3? Well, to be fair, Thor is still around, and as far as I'm concerned, he is still at full power, but he is just sort of off-world, traveling around with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Which, by the way, if they don't use the phrase as Guardians of the Galaxy at some point, that is just like the biggest missed opportunity ever. Either way, though, we also know Thor Love and Thunder is coming out soon, which will introduce Jane Foster as the new Thor, alongside regular Thor.
Yes, fine.
And I guess it remains to be seen how exactly that is all gonna play out, but it could end up with Thor just hanging up that hero life as well. Then there's Bruce, who as of Endgame looked pretty solid, having finally found inner peace and a way to stay in Hulk form, but also keep his mind. However, then in Shang-Chi, we see that something has happened, and now he's back in just regular Bruce form. At this point, it's unclear if he can still transform. We only see him for about less than a minute, but I'm leaning towards no. Reason being that finally getting to Professor Hulk form seemed like a big deal to begin with, and also they're introducing She-Hulk in the near future, and just in keeping with the rest of the original Avengers, they seem to be retiring them. Which just leaves us with Clint, who does seem to still be in action, at least during the new Disney Plus series, Hawkeye. But that series is also going to introduce us to Kate Bishop, who was traditionally the successor to Clint as Hawkeye.
You're a Hawkeye!
And that's it. The original 6 Avengers all fading out, which leaves a void. A void the world is clearly missing and craving and celebrating. Something you can see clearly on display via the musical Rogers in the Hawkeye trailer. Which at this point, if they don't give us a full musical number from that play in the Hawkeye show, I'm gonna boycott. I'm gonna riot. I mean, not really. I'm just gonna watch. It's like part of my job, and I still really like the show and the MCU in general. But like, just give me the musical number, man. But the fact that the musical exists at all tells us a lot about the state of superheroes in the MCU. The first being that the general tone and mood towards superheroes, or at the very least, the Avengers, is really positive. But it also kind of suggests that their story is over. I mean, you don't make a musical about someone while the rest of the story is still unfolding, right? And as I said, it also makes it clear that there is a void for the Avengers to exist, or as I think someone's gonna see it, an opportunity. And that person is going to be Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, aka Val, aka Vad. Val has thus far only made a few appearances in the MCU, first during Falcon and the Winter Soldier and during the post-credit scene of Black Widow, but on both occasions she recruits a newly introduced character. The first is of course John Walker, and the second is Yelena Belova, which at first you might not think too much of, but rest assured, this woman is very smart and very bad news. And at this point I will say light spoilers for Val coming up. I mean, obviously nothing is confirmed yet, and I think you could probably tell she's a bad guy anyway, but you've been warned. In the comics, Val is the girlfriend of none other than Nick Fury, at least for a while, before her true villainous ways are revealed and she dons the moniker of Madam Hydra. Now, I'll admit, I don't know a ton about this character in the comics, but based on that little bit of information and how she's already acting in the MCU, I think she's going to serve as the exact foil to Nick Fury. Nick, of course, recognized the need for the Avengers in the first place, and I think Val is going to be recognizing the exact same thing. Except she's not recognizing the need for the Avengers, she's recognizing the want for the Avengers. And she is seizing that opportunity to create her own team of Avengers, one that she can control. And as I said earlier, I think we've actually met all 6 members of that team already, and each of them will serve as a foil to one of the original Avengers. The first one, as we already mentioned, is pretty straightforward. It's Yelena, an obvious stand-in for Nat, although maybe not quite as noble as her predecessor. Then, of course, is John Walker, the obvious stand-in for Steve. I mean, he actually was Captain America for a hot second there. He also took the super soldier serum, and he's pretty skilled with the shield. But again, not quite as noble as Steve. Those two are pretty obvious, but who else? Is there an obvious opposite of Thor out there? I mean, well, Loki, yeah, but he's dead. Oh, but wait, that's right. They just made a whole show called Loki where they introduced a brand new fan favorite version of the character, Sylvie. Well, honestly, they introduced 100 new versions of Loki, but I think think Sylvie is the one they're gonna go with. Well, them or Alligator Loki. It's honestly a toss-up. But you're starting to see how easy it would be for Marvel to assemble a team of just way less honorable Avengers, but who all had the same powers. And it continues. Next up is Kate Bishop, the new Hawkeye. And once again, she fits the not quite as noble as the original theme. Or, well, I guess in this case, maybe Clint did have that stint as Ronin. But my point is, Clint was at like a really low, dark place post-snap when he donned the moniker of Ronin. Kate is launching as Ronin and then teaming up with Clint.
Are arrows more dangerous than that one?
And while we're talking about these other characters, I think it's also worth mentioning here that Yelena will be back in action in the Hawkeye series because she was hired by Val to kill Clint. Now that said though, I doubt she'll actually be the one to kill Clint if he even dies, but rest assured she will definitely get screen time with Kate. And by the end of the show, I'm betting they're gonna be like total besties, united against the common enemy, but still under the leadership of Val. But Jay, I hear you saying, why would all of these heroes join such a bad person? And the answer is marketing. Again, look to the Rogers musical. The original Avengers are being celebrated, but are also out of the equation. All of the heroes Val is recruiting are going to be under the impression that they are the good guys, that everything they're doing is great, that they are the new Avengers. They will not think of themselves as the bad guys, but only the heroes in the exact same way that the Avengers were. I wouldn't even doubt Val having them do some heroic things to build credit and a reputation, but in the end, they will be under her control and she will be evil. The truth is, people are trained to love the Avengers, and if they trust this new group, it'll be so easy for Val to spin all of their actions as positive. And if other superheroes oppose them, well, then that makes them the bad guys. It's honestly a lot like what Mysterio does to Peter at the end of Far From Home, except on a way more massive scale. It's the power of misinformation. How topical, Marvel. Have I ever told you the truth about popcorn? But anyway, who else is gonna be on our team of anti-Avengers? We still need a Hulk and an Iron Man. Well, as we mentioned, there is a She-Hulk show, movie? I don't know, something is coming, but I don't think that's the answer. Instead, I think we got our first look at the new Hulk in Shang-Chi at the Golden Daggers Club fighting against Wong. Abomination. Abomination, if you need a refresher, is actually this guy, Emil Blonsky, who starred as the villain of The Incredible Hulk way back in 2008. Dormant for quite some time now, we finally see him re-emerge in Shang-Chi, where he exits the movie with Wong to, I guess, I don't know, go do some training or something? But like you see in the common thread here, it's almost like Abomination is a little bit reformed. He's working with Wong. They're total buddies. He's great, but we also know he's definitely not gonna be quite as noble as Bruce.
Big monster!
And that just leaves us with Tony. And his was definitely the least straightforward, but I think the match is still pretty impeccable. You might think it would have to be Rhodey because he also has like the Iron Man-esque suit, but if you ask me, Rhodey is even like more of a straight arrow than Tony was. And two, everyone else on the list thus far is a newly introduced character or a newly reintroduced character in the case of Abomination. So is there a newly introduced Iron Man? Well, yeah, actually, or at least a man made out of metal, and that is White Vision from WandaVision. He's specifically not the Vision we have come to know, and at least in the comics, White Vision's whole thing is that like he's exactly like the original Vision, just minus all of the heart and emotion. Which, dare I say, leaves him open to being a bit less scrupulous. I mean, we have already seen him try to kill Wanda once, but otherwise he's still a pretty good foil for Tony. I mean, Tony is actually one of the people responsible for creating the original Vision in the first place. And you might not think Vision is one who would choose sides or be easily manipulated, but even the original Vision chooses a side during Civil War, which is super interesting to me because it's sort of like a morally ambiguous situation all around. But I think as long as Vision understands internally that his side is acting for the benefit of the most people, he'll go along with it. And again, that is exactly how Val is going to present this offer to all of them because they are the new Avengers. They are the best for everyone. Like, I can even see her using them to take down other criminal organizations, which is actually good for the public, but it's also sort of just like taking out her rivals. It's called spin, people. In fact, I think you're gonna see this start to play out in Hawkeye because guess who is gonna be back as one of the big villains? Kingpin. Yes, this Kingpin, played by Vincent D'Onofrio from the Daredevil series on Netflix. Which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend you go watch because his Kingpin is just Mwah. But either way, he's coming back in Hawkeye, and it's hard for him to be around and not be the big bad. So I'm thinking that's who Yelena and Clint and Kate are all gonna like find a common enemy in before eventually Kate is recruited by Val. Also, for what it's worth, I keep calling them the anti-Avengers, but in the comics, this group's name is typically the Thunderbolts, and they're like sort of Marvel's Suicide Squad. And if you don't know who they are, they're a group of anti-heroes from the DC universe, or the group of anti-heroes from the DC universe. And indeed, most of these characters, I think, will be great anti-heroes themselves. And whilst this group might be founded by Val with like evil intentions, I do think eventually they will overthrow her and be the ones to actually take her down, and then just sort of be their own vigilante group of good guys, but in their own sort of anti-hero way. You know what I mean? But there you go, guys. That is our theory for Val's big plan. Recruit new Avengers, match their power sets, win the public's appreciation, take down her enemies, and rule from behind the scenes. My big question is, are they going to do the same like money shot from Avengers 1, but with these 6 new characters? But Ben, my question for you and everyone else is, what do you think? Is this Val's big plan? Are these 6 characters the key, or is she up to something else? Let me know your thoughts in the towel section down below. But guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Marvel content from us. If you want to see the origin of the 10 rings, you can check out this video right here. But otherwise, until next time, Ben, I will see you in another life, brother. Guys, before we go, quick announcement that this Friday, September 24th at 6 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be hosting an All Fandoms live trivia night right here on the Super Carlin Brothers main channel, where we shall also be revealing some brand new secret coffee merch, but I will just let you puzzle over what that might be for the time being. That's going to age well. You'll see.